favor. Away!
Welcome to KritzKast once again here. We are in Grand Finals week, lots of games to come. This will be the first one of them. Fittingly, it's Division 1 tonight, count of 256 against Moro heading off in this Grand Final to see who has the luxury of getting the easy way into Premiership. With me here, Corn Production and Meer on the mic. Move right back up to the big boys. We'll see as we're starting up with the first map of the night. Vigil it is to see how on pace these teams will be tonight. Should be an interesting one. I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, certainly. So, of course, this is the Season 27 Division 1 Grand Finals. It's a cult of 256 versus Moro. Defending first, going to be Moro in the red, getting their crit stickies assembled. A pretty standard setup, but some aggro players up in this flank looking to potentially get some early time ticking down on the cult 256 attack. And see what time they can make up, ready to back out onto that second point. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, you already pretty much described it for the less initiated viewers here as well. One team pushes first, the other team has to beat that time. Payload in and of itself, a small best of 3 within the best of 3 in the grander scheme of the 3 different maps we have tonight as well. So if this first push goes well for Cult of 256, they win the first round. They only need to win one more of the 2 that are coming up. If they just win the second one, we're just going straight to the second map with them, the victor of Vigil. Let's see what pace they start off with.
Yep, the gates are open. A very slow immersion there from Colt, just looking to feel out the Moro. Defense is making space on the hill. No early headshots coming out from Piny. He does back into a slightly more passive position, and the bomb comes in from June. He manages to get a little bit of spam going, but left very much on his own, picked off pretty diligently by those defending Moro players who are just quite happy keeping it cool, slowing that cart down as best they can, and just buying the seconds at the early stage of this first point.
Yeah, as is tradition in this first one in Vigil, there's just this awkward tedium of a lot of people don't want to too aggressively hold this, right? It's so difficult to get out of once the hold starts to crack. Everyone's holding really far back, just making sure they get the second hold set up instead. Gotta pick your battles wisely on stopwatch for as much as you can. Sap on the gun there, being pretty nice in theory. Doesn't look like anyone can act off that in time. Just a little bit early there by Craze to get the sap going. Rest of the team just now really capping up this first point as usual. Pretty quick one, about a minute is about an average time for this first cappy, but you really want to start cracking this hold now on second. That's the one that really can get you value. That's the one you have to be worried about on the offense.
Absolutely, it's all about the second point at the start of this map here, and it looks like they're looking to get going straight away. Unfortunately, Craze gets spotted out before the sap could come in. Law come in with a bomb as well, trying to get any damage on Spy Fox. He possibly can, but it's not to be. A somewhat unsuccessful sack, but they still have that Uber charge up. They could look to trade in this position, but of course, they need a little bit of space over the hill and their spawners to be up.
Yeah, although this is eating away in time right now, as little as it is, this will all add up in the end, and if this comes down to seconds of a difference between these two rosters, you're glad that this first little push-up didn't do a whole lot just yet for Moro. However, there's the kills coming in. Salty sneaks in the solo kill. Sniper of Piney peeking forward as well. Stopped everyone from aggressing as easily as they would have liked. A couple still sneaking through, but the gun in the back and a spy way in the back as well, just doing the work for them. Makes this whole thing come together pretty nicely, and we're nearing the 2-minute mark, and there's no signs of stopping for Moro so far.
Yeah, thankfully for Colt, Wiethoofd didn't manage to get onto Sintai, the medic there, so it looks like they're bringing the hills nice and far forward. They're walking out of this main tunnel. They use really early, managed to get that gun down. It is going to be a trade with no clear positional advantage taken by Colt. All they've done is scatter these Moro players about, and they are just getting absolutely rained upon. Finally manages to get a twofer.
The pick class is doing so much work for Moro. I mean, it was already looking good when the air blast the Devilman off the cliff, but then Piney and Wiethoofd just putting in the work for Moro to bring this all together here. You have long spawns. Anyone going down on the red side is really dearly missed for so long. So any pick they're getting in return just makes this whole situation so much more doable right now. Conch coming out for Hive as well. Need these heals, fighting off a scalp. Salty being really annoying, but eventually blasted away will keep them clear as the push from tunnel is getting stunted quite a bit. A bit more damage, cleans up a couple more players on the combo. No heavy, no demo man. They really have to wait for those before they can make a proper move again. But at the very least, Sap and Gang can hold themselves lucky on this second point for, at this point, quite some time.
Yeah, it's not looking great. They seem to be just one-prong attack smokes from Colt here. You know, the pressure is only coming through main, and they're just getting absolutely rained upon because you're in an inherent positional disadvantage. So looks like they're looking to go against the grain here. They get up cliff, they lose Goz right at the start there. They're flashing the Ubers about, and again, unable to gain any significant ground and being chased down the hill. A lot of damage being done by Sneaky here, but Sintai manages to escape within an inch of her life and gives Moro a bit of an opportunity to get set up once again.
Alright, well, this is going pretty incredible so far. No Ubers just now, so there's no silver lining on like being able to use last second. Gun Zap comes through, but can anyone act of that for them? Looking at the position near the tunnel entrances and on slope, Sneaky just spamming people away. The rest of the tunnel being looked at really nicely by him as well, just raining down hellfire on them. This is going incredible for them. So much damage done by the Demo Man, and what does it take at this point to stop them? They cannot find an answer for the lives of them.
Yeah, it seems like every single bit of pressure from Colt just appears to be emerging from one doorway. There's no ancillary pressure, and they're not able to catch anyone out like that. It's being anticipated. They've run the same sack 3 times, losing 4 players. And it's just getting a little bit stale. You know, Moro know exactly what to anticipate at this stage, so Colt need to try something a little bit different. And look at this vision from Moro. This really exudes confidence, forcing the Uber charge and managing to milk 70% out of their own. They're looking to chase this all the way down cliff. We've got Sneaky and we've got Fireham super far forward, but Sneaky might be caught out, and Lord Jr. manages to pick him up as a trade, and Sintai left alone in a 1v1 potentially with Wiethoofd here.
Oh, well, I mean, this is some bad numbers going down on more potentially, right? Combo is very, very scattered right now. They still have the gun, they still have the pyro. It might be all they need to stay alive, but is that enough to keep the space they would like to have? Everyone's falling behind the sentry gun just to be able to leave if they have to. But Kyle's not very quick to take position right now. The gun is still up. They gotta be careful, I suppose, but something aggressive needs to happen sooner than later. And there's still just the damage on the car. The rest of the gang spawns up again, and as far as they're concerned, there was still a little bit of fight worth taking, but looks like with little position that they did have in the end, they decide to just fall back. And I mean, like I said earlier, right, it's always about just making sure the next point is going as well as it can at this point. Fighting back on second might not be worth it anymore with how much space they give up, so it's just time to go to third with a 523. You can't be too upset to have to give up some ground though.
Exactly. When the rug gets pulled from under you, it's much better to back out nice and early and get a solid setup going. You know, this is looking like they've had all the time in the world to set this up. The Uber charges are now coming out. The gun goes down pretty early, and the players really in the thick of it around this track. The car not really making much progress up that hill, and Sneaky looking to rain down hellfire onto the players trying to scramble over that cart, but they're not looking too cushy in terms of the players they've got left alive, so they're just going to cut their loss and get back to last. That was a pretty successful Uber trade there from Colt. It looks like they did a pretty stellar job of abusing that flank.
Yeah, maybe it makes you wonder what they struggled with so far, getting this push going like this on the second point, but there's no time to think about that one too much just yet. They've had between rounds to really get thinking what they need to fix on mistakes. Right now it's just making sure there's no any more of any of these mistakes happening going forward into this last one. That's, once again, a pretty difficult one here, right? It's hard to just take the space if the defensive team does everything right. Kuma's getting spotted early. Certainly is making things look already really, really good for the side of Moro. Sniper watching. And that's just another kill going their way, one by one. Everyone's getting forced out of last once again with no Uber in hand just yet. This is just a matter of time before Moro is really tested out.
Yeah, Moro, they've got a slight Uber advantage, and they're playing with real confidence as a result. Their Colt now, their Uber is up. They're looking to take this flank side, looking to take control of one side of the point and then push over. It looks like they wanted to coordinate a little bit of a sap there. The Uber's now coming out. A little bit of position gain. The health still looking pretty good, and Sneaky being picked off from Moro could be potentially disastrous from them. The health really not looking good. The heavy drops as well. There's so many players scrambling around this car. It's really, really good health and position from Colt, and they just need to pick off these Moro players that are desperately trying to get to that car, and it isn't to be. But 7:25, that's a reasonably respectable time, and a pretty good recovery from Colt from what it could have been. It was, what, a 6-minute second?
Something like 5, right? So this, like, it took like barely 2 minutes to wrap up the rest of the map. Certainly, like you said, great recovery. This is kind of worrying, right? Moro got a great second hold, but what if they crack that one earlier? Suddenly this time is just slashed in half instantly. Really good stuff to cut, I suppose. Staying in the game mentally, not getting too frustrated. It's always a big factor in these situations. Gotta just stay with it. Gotta figure things out one step at a time. And as much as they might have took a little bit too much time, I suppose, on second, they were ready for it. And just the second there was a sign of weakness, they finally could crack this whole thing wide open. Now it's on Moro to see what they can do about this one here. They gotta do this any seconds faster than 7:25. Anything better than this will do. Be it a second, be it a few minutes, doesn't really matter. They just gotta do better now.
Yeah, absolutely there, and obviously Colt now having really built momentum in those last 2 points, could be quietly confident, or at least sort of got their mental sort of straight, because we saw them throwing the same things at just a brick wall 4 times over on that second point, and let's hope that they learn from their mistakes, going for a significantly more passive hold than Moro were on their defense. And again, Moro just trying to get the cart trundling forward, try and apply a little bit of pressure and feel out this Colt defense.
Let's see what it's gonna be for now though. Which of course shouldn't be too much of a roadblock, I would suppose. Still a bit of a fight back here. Brian with a nice little snipe, heavy faithfully watching the flank as well. Gotta make sure no one gets behind and gets the bump on the medic as easily as otherwise possible, but for now it's just Kaplan rolling forward.
Yeah, Wiethoofd is trying to cause a little bit of a ruckus behind. He did try and destroy that teleporter, trying to buy a little bit of time for his team, and it is going to be a backup from Colt already. They only lose a couple of players as they recede from that first point. We know what they're concerned about. They are just concerned about that second getting set up and feeling comfortable with your spawns in position here. But Moro, I can imagine, not in a position to hang around. The player advantage still very much in hand, and both teams with Uber charge. The gun not yet present from Cole either. We could expect to make their move pretty soon.
Yeah, I guess for the viewers it's a stark reminder how good the second hold can be at its best right now. Let's see if they can do any better on the side of Moro, breaking it for now. Everyone's getting in and it's getting the force out. Massive just fight being thrown at them from the tunnel area, but it does exactly what it needed to. They couldn't stop them all. And eventually they will crack just a tiny bit. Late death on Gargos. I think he will still spawn in time. Should have level 1 up, I suppose, at the very least. At least something at all for the medic to hide behind for the time being. But they have to fear about much more than just a little bit of a push-up. It's going to be full Uber coming in.
Yeah, that was definitely not an approach that was considered by Colt. That was a really tenacious sort of sack there coming in from Moro, and they did exactly what they wanted it to do. And now they know they've got about 20 seconds further to play with a picky off June as well. Is going to make this pretty easy pickings, killing anyone in their path, locking out these spawn doors and getting that cart over the line. That is a pretty successful second push there from Moro, and they're going to be gunning for that third point. Spawners still not yet up for Colt as they're scrambling to get their defenses set up, losing Goz in the fray as well. This is very sticky.
Alright, what's this gonna do here? Big Uber ad obviously on Sintai are gonna make things more complicated, but third point is so susceptible to just falling apart by a bit of pressure on the captain, but there's a snipe coming through by Brian as the force comes out on the other side though. They will have to use to actually keep themselves safe, I suppose. And it's not that good anymore. I mean, it will waste a lot of time, right? Sap so far away from having an Uber, but it's only a tiny advantage actually on the side of Sintai. We'll see how much that matters. There's still lots of time left to be played as well. This was not that bad the second cap at all.
No, absolutely not. So Colt have really got to rely on their third point, sticking it a little bit harder than Moro's here. They've got a bit of time to reset. There's no pressure being applied to them at all right now, so they've just got to hope that they can really rely on June and Lord Junior to apply the pressure to this guy as it goes uphill. But it's a two-pronged attack coming out of them. No frag going over the line just yet. They do manage to get Brian and a lot of damage across the board, but unfortunately unable to keep their own players alive. A good attempt at a sack there, but not quite getting what they wanted. Sintai now just 5% away from that Uber charge. Moro trailing 40% behind that.
How did they
waiting
fall
for their
behind
spawners.
that much? They were like 15% apart on spawn.
They weren't.
They did like
Sebastian
negative
didn't heal for like 30% of it.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, the thing still rolled up the slope. That's really powerful in theory. In practice, it just comes down to what's happening now here after all is said and done. But everyone on red has to be very concerned how much they want to go in on card right now. Getting sap is huge, but can they keep the card alive right now? Because anything will trap this, and everyone's going down trying to block this. This is just how this goes all so often, right? The card's up the slope, and you gotta make sure that either A, you have everyone blocking it, or you just leave early. And no one wanted to leave, except for Sintai. I guess she made the right call there for herself. And as long as they all spawn in time, this might not be a disaster.
Yeah, Haver did a really stellar job of opening that up, managing to bomb from the basement area and just kill Kumis before there's the sort of initiation there. Did a pretty solid job of getting them into that third. So now looking into the last, Haver comes in for yet another bomb. The medic wasn't quite where they were anticipating, so might be a slightly failed attempt, but they've got a reasonable control of this outside area. The health not looking too fantastic, but they respect the Colts Uber as it stands. 2 minutes 50 seconds left to push this last. Certainly very achievable, but they need a sort of a couple cracks at the egg to get a favorable Uber trade over the line.
Yeah, this is plenty time to do this push as well. This is just whacking away to see what works. With Uber certainly can take a lot of space here, fight on the flank and seeing, trying to just get a combo in, but the red team just hiding behind that little wall, trying to stay safe, trying not to take part too much of any of the messy fight that the rest of the flank is in. And for now, the flank doing good work, shut down the DuMmTm as well to stop the push for now. Didn't quite get the force they probably would have loved to see right here. But as it stands, maybe this is all just for the greater good right now. Get the scout kill there early, that should help quite a bit. Now it's an 8v9 fight as the Ubers are ready to go, and they're happily taking the fight right in there, taking a lot of space, getting some cap time going. Here's a conch-late as well, but it needs to actually shoot anyone to get value, and I don't see anyone in range anymore. They're all just disappearing behind the card.
Yeah, the depth of that Uber from moro opened up a lot of space for them to get on that car, but unfortunately didn't do much in the way of protecting them. But these defenders are dropping like flies. It is a full wipe from them, and moro are going to take the first round of the first map.
Yeah, really nice stuff there by moro. Whenever the other team just tries to hide behind the little wall there on their perspective right side, it's just a matter of time until once anyone starts dying, you can just take space all around them, surround them completely, and the second they want to go to card, they just will fear the pincer closing in on them. So really nice stuff by moro to close that round out. This is the first round they've gotten on them in any map since the KOF game, like a month ago almost. Have a bit of a rough going there at first, but maybe realize some mistakes they've done along the way. Maybe sneak in some sneaky stolen strats from the dogs up top, and just what they can take away from that as a learning experience might have worked out a little bit in their favor here. Let's see if that turns out that way in the long haul, though. Karl certainly no slouches at all, and maybe the real warm-up is just the game being played right here, right now. They still have a little bit of wiggle room right now. They could afford to lose this one, but if they want to win the first map, there can't be any errors anymore. It has to be a clean take from here.
Absolutely, yeah. If Colt want a chance of winning this, they've really got to hope to have some real constructive conversations in their mumble. Talk about what went wrong, what they need to work on, who they need to sort of pin down and sort of eliminate the threat from moro, because you saw when that spam came in, a pretty well-timed stab was always coming in from Wiethoofd or the Sap, or indeed the Sacks. The Sacks were pretty phenomenal for moro on all of the points there, and did them a lot of favors. So moro going to be attacking again. Colt of 256 are going to be defending on this first point once more, and again taking a very reserved approach, as they should.
And let's see what it's going to be here. moro 1 round up on our first map. Vigil looking very good for the team in the blue so far, but there's still a little bit more game to be played to really decide the winner on this one. Vigil first, as usual, a bit of a formality, but maybe a sign of things to come here if some major disaster already strikes. For now, no one's risking all too much on the red side, just sitting back, spamming a little bit, seeing if they can somehow stop them from getting in the cap in under a minute at the very least.
Yeah, it seems to be a pretty swish ejection from this point. They do manage to rid Sneaky from the tide moro, so helps them escape a little bit better. But of course, you know, when it comes to a full team backing out, it's hard to go wrong. So moro is slowed down ever so slightly with their spawners coming in, but I can imagine a very similar measured approach coming out of this main tunnel with some sacks, some pressure from the side tunnel, some pressure from Hill, to try and disassemble this Colt defense.
Yeah, this is what it comes down to again. This was such a crucial point in comparison for these two teams. Bombs are coming through, trying to get in here, taking a lot of position, getting the gun down as well. Not a whole lot of kills. Hiver still left standing up top, but slowly getting peppered away with, can at least claim the dispenser, but with Gergo still alive, it shouldn't be that big a concern. So, threatening looking Sackwave, but it does not quite get what was intended. And Karl is getting a second chance at life.
They certainly are, and it looks like they're just sort of bunkering their way, just trying to get this gun up as quickly as they possibly can. Wiethoofd seemingly poising himself for a bit of a sack, but he has been identified for salty, so they're going to be pretty wired to his situation there. And it looks like moro making their way towards the exit of this main tunnel. The Uber coming in as well. A pretty early return there from Colt. They're chasing him down the hill. No position really gained from moro here, but the car has progressed ever so slightly, and they just need to get their spawners up and try and apply some pressure to these players pushing uphill. It's a bit of a melee here, but a nice headshot from Brian being returned, however, from a backstab from Wiethoofd. And this is getting a little bit messy for Colt. The players really split up and the health not looking fantastic. They are going to have to resort to a third hold. That was a very evenly spread pressure for moro there, but evidently enough to get rid of Colt.
Yeah, they just very slowly but surely started taking a lot of space, and before you realize it's already too late to really want to fight back, at least with the resources they had going at that point here, as we now transition into the third point. It wasn't that bad looking here at all. It took a little bit of a turn, obviously, with the mat going down for moro last time, but they recovered real nicely. So let's see how it looks this time around. Kuma's staff really good starting off already, but what can the rest of the squad do? Just under the sniper sideline the entire time.
Yeah, this is a pretty vulnerable position here for Colt to be in. If the enemy sniper can get up that staircase and peek around that wood, they can pick off any players that are sort of annexing themselves to that beam. But of course, it does give June a pretty good pause to get spam on that car. But is it going to be enough? They managed to cross over to a slightly more sensible position there. It looks like moro are looking to unhinge once more. Sneaky comes in with a bomb. Moikil emerges, and it's going to be enough to get that force out. They lose 3 players straight away. But that Uber is long gone from moro. They have got Sebastiani way back in the tunnel. They're just going to wait for their spawners and then look for a return onto Colt. Colt are going to have to look to try and pick off 1 or 2 players at the very least and just make this slightly uncomfortable for them.
Alright, Kraze gets away from everyone trying to rush him on the flank here, but that just means Spy's not in a position to do much of any plays right now. Kuma sees another headshot. Everyone's just slowly forced back from this far side entrance they want to take. They just have to give up some space as the Uber's coming forward. Might even get a spy kill on top of things. Nothing to worry about in the back end here as the cap time's rolling through. Everyone's making good space and a headway for them here, but Sintai has to leave, and that's going to be tough one getting out, but the chase is just not quite fast enough. Looks like that might work. Unless, no, Pyram's not fast enough. He's not in any position to crack down on this medic. Looks like it's enough. However, actually, they're still going. They don't want to let them set up a last hold at all.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate there. So many players down from Colt and moro just absolutely barreled it up the tracks, and they did not anticipate that at all. They are all the way deep, protecting these cart players as best they can. It's going to be really, really sticky for Colt to try and break this if they want to. Look at Moikil's position. Look at where Sneaky is. Look at how many people are on that car. They managed to force the Uber out of Colt. They're 80% themselves, but Sebastiani goes down. That's disastrous. 4 players down for moro, and Colt have the second wind here. A rolling Uber advantage, and the potential to set up on this last point could tick the minutes up ever so slightly.
That looks really good, but then you realize they've done a great third push with 10% dishead last time on moro, so they just need some of that energy going their way again, and maybe this is just still all very doable. In fact, let's see what the plan is here. Last certainly looks a little bit different in that regard. Not going to be as easy to play just off cap time alone to make a play happen with, but they have an idea. They want to just rush the flank first of all, take as much space as they're given. Lots of resistance coming their way as well, but Kumus goes down. That's a start.
Yeah, they need to be pretty calm with this attack here. They can go overzealous. They just want one solid push, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going for. 3 players down, still 10% away from this Uber charge, and a bomb comes into June. He's super weak, gets picked off as well. Both teams pretty close to this Uber charge, and it's going to be called first by Colt, but definitely no chance of Seb this time.
Ghost almost threw this so hard. They see everyone going card and block, but then they also just had blood on their eyes. And suddenly they just want to chase the combo elsewhere, leave the card behind. This is so close already. And now moro has the Uber. Maybe it was just a lose-lose situation. Block the card, the med will live, chase the medic, he would just get back up. Maybe there was just no winning for Cult at that point anymore. Moro just put them in a really tough position, and they crack under the pressure.
Yeah, when there's that many bodies surrounding that car and you've got nothing really in the way of defenses, things usually sort of uncoil pretty early on, but 5 minutes 48 is certainly a beatable time, but of course Colts need to improve on their previous attack margin.
Yeah, it's like a competent time for sure, but anything better on second still makes this really doable, right? That was the point Cult of 256 struggled with so far. That awkward second hold up on the little high ground with the shack looked so good for Moro previously. I have some time to figure this one out still, a couple more seconds to think everything through, but once they get there, this has to work. I mean, maybe not first try, but after the second try, it's starting to get very awkward time-wise.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is sort of one of the maps where if a couple of things go wrong or a team makes a major slip up.
Incredible replays, by the way. Thank you for production for these. Big fan.
It's certainly a map that has grounds for a lot of momentum pushes where it's just basically impossible to even put up a smidge of a fight on a certain point. So we'll have to see whether Colts can take advantage of one of those to try and make up these minutes. So it looks like they want to try and get rid of this gun nice and early with Lord Jr. on the direct hit.
Oh, Sintai slapping the spy in the face. No one getting to get the medic just that easily. And that's it. They lost the spy. They're just already pulling back the gun. They don't want to mess around with anything anymore. They know the second hope was good last time. They don't want to do any worse at all. Because if they just get a second time anywhere closer is good, they just win on the spot. There isn't enough time to win the rest of the map at that point.
Yeah, I mean, that pressure is there for Wiethoofd anyway, so as soon as he's down, as soon as the sort of surprise is the element is over, it's out the door. So June comes in for a bomb, but gets completely lofted. The dispenser armor proving pretty powerful surrounding Sebastian. He managing to pick off 4 players between Moikil and the engineer there. So Moro have good grounds to get a hold going. Looks like they want to drain the swamp from this lower tunnel as well. Craze going down. The threat completely eliminated from them.
I just realized what the real plan is right now. Stranded play didn't work. They sent Goss on the floor to get in here with the crit.
He did it in the corner. It just got stickied out.
They tried. Okay.
My God.
See, once again, this is a good opportunity for new viewers to realize why you never see the flock in any of these games. Because when you have an Uber with this as well, probably so does the other team. So, like, Invincible Flock Pyro kind of just win more. Non-Invincible Flock Pyro just dies to anything immediately.
Yeah, Lord Jr. got lofted up by the sentry gun, but manages to shoot enough rockets to get the force out of Seb, who has now used their Uber charge and getting pretty weak backing up. This is a good opportunity for Colt to get a little bit of space over this hill area. It's only Pyroham really posing a threat to them right now, and this is going to have to be a backout for Moro. Lord Gina managed to pick up Cannon right at the apex of that fight as well, and they're going to look to absolutely blister forward. 3 minutes 40. They're slightly off pace to what Moro were at this stage of the map, and with 4 players down, Colt need to take advantage of this situation.
I just learned, or relearned, I guess. I probably knew this at some point, but as you cap the forward spawn, reset stops working. Sneaky just with 50 health and forward spawn, making it really awkward to get back to full health. Stays on beam for quite a while here to stay alive, and with so much damage coming in, it's not an easy task, but it looks like they might just be able to defend themselves. Moro not willing to use this. Leave Sintiles, both teams awkwardly trying to win this fight without getting the mats too involved, but for now it's little more than a mild sack wave coming their way, and they are able to stand strong here. 3 minutes for the next 2 points. Still doable by all means, but it just comes down to how quick this third point goes. You want as much time as possible for the last point.
I just want to point out, Moikil saved himself. He ate a sandwich with 1 HP while he was burning. Absolutely stunning. Absolutely beautiful gameplay. We see the approach come in. Colt taking up this flank side, managing to get their soldier behind, picking off his opposite. Number 5 players falling down. The pick classes are absolutely off on one. Seb manages to escape within an inch of his life there. The cap over the line, and they're looking in a better position than Moro were at this stage now. They're pretty far forward. They can get overconfident here. We know that Moro are players down, but you need the heals forward. You need to take the position as a team, otherwise you're not going to hold on to it for very long. The full Uber advantage now handed to Moro as Colt's Uber about to expire, and they are so caught in here. This is disastrous. 3 members of the combo get picked off straight away, and the cart nowhere near as far forward as you would hope for here. So it looks like Moro just looking to convert as many frags as possible and give Colt a little bit of a reset.
That was optimistic, to say the least. They popped in so early, chasing people so far out of reach. You need to get so lucky to even force the medic early, let alone get out afterwards, because they just were so far in still. Afterwards, the Uber comes through and just deletes them all. Suddenly, this went from an even fight to an uphill battle. Win at 40. It's enough time to get an Uber and just once more try to replay. And Pyroham literally just in the sniper sight line yoinked the other Pyro's flamethrower, by the way. Why?
Looks nice.
Just psychopath behavior, but I guess that's what it takes to be one of the best players in the game. And here we go.
Though.
No, they
oh
once again
no,
the
return. Oh,
air sticky as well. They're just styling on them at this point.
Yeah, it's not great, you know, just completely opening them up there. It seemed pretty good when Seb got forced by Jun there, but they obviously didn't anticipate that if they forced, they would get ran straight into. So yeah, a little bit of a back to the drawing board again. Colt just rolling these disadvantages back to back. There's a minute left. They've really got to try and make a little bit of something happen
you know what that
before they get the Uber charge.
There's not enough time to sit here and not be building an Uber properly and still have an Uber push afterwards. With this much at disadvantage as well on top of things, it's just looking doubly bad. They just kind of have to start playing dry as much as they can, and it's not looking good to spam for more looking so good. A little bit of card time sounds nice, but it's not leading anywhere just now. Flanks doing a good job shutting them off while the combo's just sitting there, presenting them weak players to pick off, and at this point, Uber's here, 30 seconds left. Now you just have to use as late as possible on your first sign of danger coming your way, and it's just clean up easily attainable for more from there, and it looks so doable. They have this right in their grasp.
They need to go now though. There's 15 seconds left, and we all know there's no overtime in this game mode. The Uber comes out, there's players on this car. It looks like moro just want to try and block as best they can. 4 players down, 5 down from Colt already, and it is an absolute bloodbath. Moikil and Wiethoofd having an absolute field day, styling all over Colt of 256. So a very stark contrast to what we saw last week, and moro managing to win this first map in 2 rounds.
This comes back to what I said earlier at some point. Moro started the season so strong, and just the playing field in Div 1 evened out a little bit. I think they had some bad days as well, and Kyle stepped it up massively, but going into the season, this is exactly what I expected this to look like. They were looking unstoppable for Hot Mid there at the beginning. And maybe they've just gotten back to form exactly when needed here. This was looking pretty solid. Not unstoppable, maybe, but by all means, just a well-deserved win in just 2 maps. Not a bad look. More maps to come, though. We'll see. I mean, these guys here in Div 1 are very confident in the ability to play the stopwatch maps, all 3 in a row tonight, I suppose. We'll see who's right here in the end. So far, moro certainly looking good, winning the first map on opponent's mapping, on a map they just a week ago lost to them as well, so big comeback story already, but the upper seed still has 2 maps to play for, so let's see what they got in store for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Moro opting to defend first on this map again. It looks like they're looking to kind of feel out Colt, see what they've got to sort of contend with and what their approach is going to be here. It's looking like a pretty vanilla setup. Nothing wacky going on really. A completely abandoned A point, of course, pretty typical on this map. Leave A completely open because the rotation is just a bit too risky. So just leave it to the dogs and concentrate on that B and E point as well. So we've got 6 seconds left in the time. Of course, attacking is going to be Colt in the blue. They can get quick out the gate and make up a few seconds on this initial A cap.
We'll see what it is here. A, as per usual, not heavily contested. I have seen an A horde the other day, and it immediately lost people the game. So don't try this at home. Just let them have this. It's fine. I'm sure it will work out better this way. If you watched like Vigil earlier, just let them have the B point as the defensive one and just see if they can somehow stop them from progressing from the B area. Now, the one downside from this is, of course, they get this A point opened up towards D. There's just one little door opening that does open up some options for you to play through. Ooh. And you want to use those as much as you can. You can get the E-pusher going and really split that tension a little bit.
Yeah, of course, moro need to be acutely aware of this white room point. It looks like they're rotating their engineer around, getting the gun set up in heaven already. The cap pressure being applied already. They're rotating their heels round to B, looking to sort of bluff it long enough for their combo to rotate. Looks like they might be successful here. They come out of drop down. The gun goes down. It's only an engineer on this point as Moikil desperately scrambles to get here as well. The Uber still in hand from both teams. It looks like they're going to have to use, but they have a lot of space to go deep on this attack.
Not now, not the time to farm drop TF stats again, and this is just this point over. This might honestly just cost a round turn as well. This is going to be so much free value. I mean, they can't get a C-hold going as well. They might not like super focus that one down, but you can just throw volleys on there while starting to play towards the east wall. Whichever way they want it, they have all the options in the world now.
Yeah, allowing that engineer to get into heaven, although his impact was pretty minimal, they definitely had to allocate a bit of resource to picking him off. So it's always good to at least have a soldier poised somewhere nearby, somewhere hiding just to try and eliminate that threat. And we see what the result of not doing that is. Colt on this C cap now. They've got a 40% Uber advantage in hand. And quite interestingly, they're congregating around Death Corridor. They seem to be pretty confident that Sneaky's not going to have any stickies there. So that could be interesting enough. But this is going to be a pretty fast time out of the gate for Colt.
One thing is for sure, right? If there was a question for people as to why stopwatch maps are played best of 3, it's so that one drop like this can't just by itself win the game. Either you mess up twice badly, or the other team just actually wins a straight up round without any huge blunders like that. That is just better than you.
Ooh.
For now, there's mistakes happening, but to the other side right now, June awkwardly peeking forward, but not very committed. Just piped down already here. Lose a couple players back and forth for sure, but that doesn't stop them from getting some decap time. Anyone in blue, they just hope to switch some attention finally.
Yeah, thankfully for Colt, that was just a sack attempt. It wasn't a push. They managed to get the gun down as well. Of course, with that C-cap, the bridges do start extending across. The barriers will go up with that D-cap as well. And it looks like the Moro team is rotating through Whiterun. They've been bought a little bit of time by the spawners of Colt coming out. And they're going to try and make a bit of an offensive. The Uber coming straight out of the gates here. Goz is not in position to reflect these players away at all. And June is caught in a little bit of a danger zone with 3 players down from his side.
It's going to be Pyro up top, some good value here already, but all of the blue team taking position as much as they're allowed to towards this E-point. However, as much as June is watching the door, he's not actually stopping anyone from getting in. And suddenly there's just a demo man all over their faces. Medic goes down, a couple of kills traded, maybe so, but is that enough? Zap taking weak as well. Goz still on the high ground too. It's trading back and forth. The lack of heals is really frustrating, I suppose, but they have better spawns, so the heals are never really gone, it feels like. Sintai already back on the E-point where Zap is still waiting 8 more seconds, and painful ones as well, as the Captain is just stacking up.
Yeah, that was a real loud uncloak right around the entire team, but Kumis still gets stabbed there. ×5 on this cap. They've got a soldier up in heaven. Of course, all the doors are still open for Moro here, so they're looking to try and demount the Colt players from this point, and the damage is going to be enough, but they have got the heals there. They're ready to keep throwing bodies at that point, and 3 players up from Moro. This is very, very sticky. If they could just apply enough pressure to Moikil here and get on this cap, this could be curtains, but nobody stood on it. It's seemingly
there we go.
Task.
They're getting on there. There's not much alive right now. Who's going to stop them? For now, it's looking difficult. So Soldier Bomb going forward tries to stop them here. As the Vaccinator coming out. Of course, Zap would bust out big guns at some point, but there's still so many different chances on the field, making it really difficult. That's number 2. The Vac Heavy finally getting taken out. To switch to bullet resistance just a second delay as the damage is running, and this did delay for long enough to get some spawns going. And second after second, they're just getting a little bit of bonus time as much as it's a losing fight. Delaying it is maybe just good enough to make this time be a little bit better.
God. That was a battle of trades. One person would die, then to a spawner, then the spawner would die, and then that spawner would die, and it was just sort of trading for trade. But Colt could have definitely have closed that out much earlier. As soon as you saw Moikil sort of at the stairs of heaven, the point was just completely barren. They had such a significant player advantage, and the cap was not ticking up at all, and that's what allowed those Moro players to spawn up and just throw bodies at point and just buy those seconds back at the end.
Yeah, that was some great value. Delayed backs, which is wild, just out of nowhere, certainly put him some value. There was still different classes alive. It wasn't perfect, I suppose, but it certainly was much better than just a heavy on beam, I will say, here at the end. And it brought them a lot of time here. That was like at least like 25 seconds or so, just in the messiest fight of all time. And the Cult did clean up, but really late, so maybe those last few seconds here they got at the end will be putting in the work. They certainly have to. This is by all means still a good time. The Cult of 256 got themselves here. More really forced to take initiative now.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we know this is not a sort of conventional like set up like a pub. There is no overtime. The time that is listed at the top of the screen is the time that it must be pushed in. So it looks to be Moro's time to return. A pretty fast time from Colt. We could be seeing an attempt potentially at an E-cap here, but we'll have to wait and see what they think of Colt's defense.
Let's see what it is. Quick A-cap as per usual. We'll see what the plan is here. There always is the alluring option, but it's ever so risky to just go straight E, but looks like that is not the plan at all here. They want to do this the very traditional way of not even baiting an E play. They just want to rotate back to B and try to bust through immediately.
Yeah, they managed to get Brian, which is pretty good. It removes the sort of threat of killing a player nice and early deep there. So they managed to get through. They get their players onto that teleporter, eliminated, take control of this upper area, but they do lose Pyroham and potentially Cannon as well. Yeah, it does get picked off, so it's going to have to be a real concentrated attack here. It's going to be a bit of a sack, and they do get the force out of Sintai. That's pretty significant here. It looks like they might lose their gun with no support around it. But of course now a full Uber charge to Seb in hand for Moro.
Yeah, once again, going to show because of quality over quantity. Jun and Gang doing so much damage, getting so many kills, still killing some people, but fast respawns and the ability to just sack away at any time for the medic and get away with it, I suppose, in this case as well, right? Making this look much better even with so few kills going their way so far. Would like to see some people go down now though, but with an Uber charge in hand as well, that should aid the situation quite a bit. However, gun in the back, not sapped at all here for the longest time, causing a bit of problem. Still get the heavy high ground area knocked out the park as well already. Here's the counter fight though. The Uber fades now. They can't fight back in and they're taking their chances.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sticky fight, but Colt really sticking to their guns on this point. But with 4 players up, they're just going to have to try and back out. They know how punishing the spawns can be. It takes up to 20 seconds on this map, and that's pretty damaging, particularly when you're dealing with a time of 2 minutes 48 left to cap these remaining 4 points. And Colt need to have a little bit of a rethink. They're all sort of stuck in this initial spawn, and Moro are slowly meandering their way towards this C point.
Alright, one step in the right direction here. Not much time left, but enough to certainly still do this. B point makes all of this a little bit easier here. No forward spawn there. Close to B area as well. They're just now spawning between D and E on the red team. Let's see what it's going to be here. They want the C point as well. They want to stop with 7-5 HP. Not using again. But this time it makes him look like a genius.
Well, Law managed to get 3 rockets onto the grate underneath Seb. That was how all of that damage came across. It was obviously pretty fortunate timing there, but yeah, Seb manages to clinch onto it within an inch of his life. And Moro getting that C cap. They are cooking with gas now. The only return is going to be salty, but that's going to be enough to get the force out of Moro, and they are just going to try and get as deep as possible, clear these players out of heaven. The gun is going to be eliminated along with their heavy weapons guy. And it looks like Moro want to get themselves set up and try and get this E cap going. It, of course, does take about 40 seconds to cap this E point with a times through, which is what they're running right now. But the Uber return are coming straight out of Colt, but without the bridges across, that's some risky business.
Alright, the whole play by Moro looked really good. It didn't put the pressure really onto Sintai. The Uber comes out late to try to regain some space onto the E point, but there's no one there with them. It's just 3 people on E, and they're just walking in like they own the place of Moro. And I mean, at this point, I guess they might. NG gunned by Gagos putting in a little bit of work, but this is looking pretty rough now. A minute left. The Sap kill looks really nice, but we've seen last round as well. The spawn for the blue team just so much faster, and once again, the Vaccinators coming out to play.
Yeah, of course, it's going to be a pretty meaty spawn wave here for Colt, but will they have enough time to rotate? They've got a long time to walk around unless they want to trot straight into Sneaky Stickies and Moikill with a revved up gun, and that cap seemingly going over the line is going to be a surprisingly convincing return there from Moro managing to pick up that first round. That was what, like a sub-5 time?
Yeah, I mean, it was 4:40 to win, right? So this was like a low 4 as well. Really solid stuff. At no point did they seem like they had to rush anything, right? This was a good time they had to play against, but they just took this very casually, very like matter of fact, and just took their time, sorted everything out, and did this better than the team that was able to play from a drop on second with. Impressive stuff from them. Good spy play as well. Wiethoofd's having a grand old game so far today, I will say, and it's just really paying off. All things are coming together here, despite a bit of a blunder. Moro on match point. And Moro can just take this home in a nice, easy 2, claim themselves the victor of Division 1. We'll see which of these 2 teams it's going to be here. This could be it already if Moro gets one more win on steel. They have this thing in the bag. Cult of 256 forced to do a huge comeback.
I mean, there's even potential here for me to get my 9:30 bedtime. This is exactly what I wanted out of a grand final. It can be nice and comfortable, ready for my day tomorrow. But yeah, Colt, a real big question to answer here. Have they managed to have a proper mental reset? Have they thought about what's gone wrong? Are they able to out-coordinate Moro and apply that pressure and try and make it a little bit uncomfortable for them? Because although there's nothing inherently wrong with how they're playing, they're not sort of individually creating enough chaos or making enough things go wrong for moro to really knock their style.
We'll see what it takes as this map is going live. Moro have it in the palm of their hands. Cult of 2x6 need to bring this one back. CP steal could be the end of the match here already.
Yeah, Moro quick out the gates once again, just looking to get themselves set up on this first 8 point. Cult of 256 just taking it nice and easy, waiting and anticipating for that Moro B push. Of course, they need to keep an eye on that E shutter as it begins to open. We saw how punishing the engineer rotating through that white room into heaven was last time, but their engineer being at this B point would indicate they're opting for the same strategy as they did before. They want to flush out this upper area and then slowly erode this cult defense.
Alright, on it goes with the show. Moro did the standard approach, just running into B as much as they can, see what they can force out with that. Looks like Cult of 266 forced the medic back a little bit early here, takes a more defensive stance against it. They know what's coming now, there's not a surprise on that maybe anymore, but is it enough to stop them with the knowledge alone? For now, it's a couple of kills painted, but Goss alone won't push this point going down, so for now it's looking pretty good on the side of the red team. The defense still holding strong, even if they had to fall back, give them a little bit more space this time around.
Yeah, of course, this time at last round, Sintire used, and then Moro had essentially a free Uber charge. Colt held up pretty well against that full Uber charge advantage, but again, it's all about fortifying your position, trying to get the show moving in your favor. Sneaky gets picked off with a punishing gun from Gurgosh there, and Haver picked off in the heaven as well. Is looking pretty good for Colt to reset their defensive with Moro 5 players down.
Alright, let's see what it's going to be here. Are they changing the style a little bit? Maybe so. They're rotating around. They don't want to mess around with this push at B anymore. It looks like this is going to E. And through some matter of fact, this is trying to force a rotation out of them. Let's see if Cult can handle this one well, because everyone's waiting for the money now.
It was really not spotted early at all. They've got all of their players sort of concentrated around this right room, but now they're rotating into B. There's no gun being set up on E, so it's just these flank players they've got to eliminate, and it's just going to be the soldier in the end. And it doesn't look like Colts have been caught off guard too much, but the players are not healthy. They do use eventually, not dropping anyone initially, and it's just going to be a mad chase. That level 3 gun is still up, posing a little bit of a threat. Skyfox doing a pretty stellar job, and it looks like Colt going to have to back out really concentrated in this corner by Beck, and Moro just taking all of the space they could possibly want.
That's looking pretty good so far. A little bit more of a hiccup here on B than before, but in the end it still works. In the end it should still be a good time. This might be a late entry death, that is a bit unfortunate I suppose, but not the end of the world here as long as they get connector space anyway. Law going down aids the situation here quite nicely. Little snapper for Piney even as well to round things out. No threat of the sniper sideline anymore. How are they going to do the rest of this one though? The gun all alone as well. Garros can't really defend this thing whatsoever. And now the floodgates really opened up, right? There's no gun with the NG, they know that, so they send the bomb in forward, send the scout on point, get the pressure going on E, and see what response the other team has in store for them.
Yeah, they're taking a lot of damage in doing so. There's not a lot of support for these players on cap, but seemingly it is enough. It's just Piney and Cannon, but Cannon gets picked off, so nobody able to make that jump for them at the minute there. But of course this has created a little bit of instability from the Colt side. They're in Beck now, just looking to get their defenses rolling and looking to sort of anticipate any threat that Moro might chuck their way. Lord Jr. in a pretty good spot here, just ready to protect this E point, but it looks like Moro want to make their way into this Beck, but since I didn't have the medigun out, manages to get it popped, keep all of the players alive, and no ground really made up by Moro here, but it's a pretty sticky spot to counter push through.
It still works out in the end. They get a heavy kill. There's this one moment the Pyro can just W into the DuMmTm, and it's enough to find the kill. Law still behind them, puts in some more damage, but Sap doesn't have. They just blindly push in, thinking they have this in the back, but everyone's still waiting for them here. Enough people anyway to deal with the demo and the medic alone. Much too late, the rest of the team rolls up to get some kills. They clean them up, sure, but it's just too late at this point. Sap with the butter spawn will get advantage out of the whole situation. It's an ugly one to take the point with, but it's gonna take C, I suppose.
Yeah, there's some pretty punishing spawns once again from these players, and Kubus gets launched into the pit by those stickies from Sneaky. That was
just
devastating.
Puts stickies like straight up so that they angle the I don't even know what just happened. He just perfectly sticky jumped the guy into the pit.
That's
unbelievable.
Infuriating. but Colt have enough players now to mount a defensive. They're of course really concentrated around this E point. Haver seemingly lining up a sack. They want to try and disassemble all of these players in heaven and make it as difficult as possible for their spawners to get in. The gunner does go down, as does the engineer, and it's a real bloodbath. A lot of Colt players going down, and the swamp has very much been drained. They've got 4 players alive, but none of them in optimal positions. And moro, they can start this cap here if they really want to, but they're being somewhat tentative about it.
Much more importantly though, 2. Back to the game, we have advantage up for Sebastiani. They're sitting in point pretty confidently with all of this. Sinter is so far away from having Uber right now, but they have to run in here and do the best. This Uber needs to win moro this round, or at least end it, I suppose. Let's see what it can actually do once it's forced to take effect, but
it's
such a slow approach.
Oh yeah, it does get used eventually. Pyroham kept within an inch of his life. They're just trying to pick off all of the players that are presenting a threat in Beck, and with just Goz left alive, that is going to be curtains once again. Not their fastest time, but certainly still a respectable one. 5:43.
Yeah, solid time here. Once again, I was a bit more hold up on second this time around. Khaled stepping up the game to not just have the brute force approach to run all over them this time, but still a very competent one in the end. The second they had be under full control, it went pretty smoothly, aside from, I guess, the one death on Seb afterwards, right? Made up for that one even really nicely, even if it delayed things a little bit more. So, a good time either way. Cult of 256 have done faster than this, I suppose, but really feeling the pressure now, right? This has to go well immediately here. I like this awkward sticky trap. I have not seen this one before, but they don't want the NG to get up there.
No, absolutely not. It's either you commit your soldier to it or you try and do something a little bit more funky, but I query who is going to call that position.
Look at this one, Chad. What is even happening here? He's shooting straight up. This is like sticky jumper main on Tempest behavior.
The fact that he lines 3-4 stickies up before he dets as well. Oh, does he actually, does Kumis actually drop off? I think Kumis dropped off. Oh, never mind, sneaky sucks.
It's just panic, right? You see that guy, you want to shoot him, and suddenly, oops, never mind.
It's either you or your entire team and
it's
your gun.
It's a cartoon situation where you just keep running over the cliff, and then 10 seconds later you realize there's no ground below you.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so a pretty rapid cap coming out of Colt. We all know a absolute throwaway. So Colt gonna look to try and take this upper potentially. Of course, you have got the threat of the teleporter with Sneaky and Moikill. They can rotate back up. They're pretty sharpish if they need to, and Colt have a little bit more time to play with than they have previously on this map. But Goz going down instantly, and all these players getting absolutely chunked at the bottom of the staircase is gonna make things pretty challenging.
Right, off to the races here. Let's see what it's gonna be. I mean, plenty of time to do so, right? We talked about it. It is a very beatable time still, but let's see. Just because you've done it once before doesn't mean the opponent's team will let you do it again. The sneaky kill is good. That helps things a lot, and they're also just opting to brute force it this time around. Just going straight through B, or at least that's the attempt, getting the high ground at the very least. What can they do with it, though?
Yeah, they've eliminated that teleporter as well, so they can look to slow this push down just a little bit, but in saying that, they actually do Uber straight away. Moro managed to clinch onto theirs and withdraw the gun as well, so the B cap should be over the line for Colt, but Moro in a pretty comfortable position to hold back. But no, they actually get forced, and the gun goes down to June. It looks like they just want to run, absolutely barrel onto this B point and try and get wherever they can, but it's just Sneaky and Seb. They really do not want to trade for their lives here. 4 minutes on the clock. Cap about to go over the line on B for Colt, and they are already capping that C with Craze.
Yeah, that's not a bad time for this one at all, but what does it look like from here? Neither team has Uber just yet. Seb actually slightly behind as well, but they're trying to hold on to the connector area as much as they can, not give up much of any free space at all. That, however, does leave some eyes unattended in the backline. Someone getting on the cap there for a little while at least, but I'm sure they can take care of one spy alone. It actually draws everyone back, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was there for a kind of unbelievable amount of time, literally just being a nuisance, and it seemed to pull Moro back far enough that Colt could get a somewhat reasonable position in this Beck area. Of course, you've got Moikill positioned by this medium health pack. You've got Kumis as well, but it looks like Colt aren't too keen to run into this C point just yet, and they're quite happy to just keep applying a little bit of pressure to this E as it forces the rotation out of Moro.
Yeah, rotations are usually a pretty good thing to force out of them as well. You can just abuse that position a little bit more, and the snipes, the stabs, all looking good so far. Gets a couple of kills, you know, that moment to spam point makes the cap just a little bit more alluring, but eventually the rest of the team can make up the difference here. For now, NG taken down as well. Big jump in by the Dow, and that one actually doesn't get a whole lot as well. Salty shot down the pit violently as well.
He gets up. He manages to save himself on the pipe. That was a somewhat obtuse bomb from June there. It didn't really gain them any advantages whatsoever, and they sort of removed all the cover that Salty could possibly have had there. But again, we're seeing a two-pronged attack. This is what we need to see from Colt in map 1, and it looks like they're just trying to erode whatever Moro may throw out. But of course, that height advantage is going to serve them pretty well. Just Gorsintar and Gurgosh on this point. The Uber does get forced out. It will presumably guarantee that C-cap, but not able to get too many frags, just sort of annoy Moikill to the extent of death. And with 2 minutes left, it's certainly very doable. That third of cap time on the E could be a nice little opening here as they look to...
big kills by Wiethoofd. Quickly pitted for it, I suppose. A 2-for-1 trade. Not looking too bad here, but with this many people down, you got to be very careful right now. C-cap changes things significantly as well. The bridge is opening up. That might be really good for the offense. Sometimes it's have the defense pushing up aggressively as well. For now, they're rotating the other way around, just out of nowhere, popping in the long way around from right room, trying to catch them there. It's Sap having to do the dirty work in the end, though someone's going to get the kill. Sneaky is struggling a little bit, but it's getting the medic in the end, so everyone's just putting in the work right now, except just heavy behind him the entire time. Kumus gets all the cleanup in the world. And maybe this just worked out highly against the favor.
Yeah, absolutely. Moikill getting picked off there, falling victim to these punishing 20 seconds, over 20 second spawns. Moikill managed to pick up a 25-second spawn there. That is absolutely damning. So many players down, and a long rotate on the cards for them. Times 2 on the cap. It could be more. More doors could be getting locked out. It's just Lord Jr. in this heaven area right now, looking to return onto Moro, and there's definitely a lot of potential for the spam to be exhumed on them. The vaccinator has been pulled out once again, but Craze managing to pick up 2, as well as Kumis. The cap seemingly going over the line, and we see a very late return, but a return nonetheless. Colt 256 managed to pick up their first round out of 4, and we are not done. It is going to be a decider map on Steel, and then if Colt win, potentially upward.
Yeah, a cruel reminder that for all the damage resistance the Vaccinator has, melee damage isn't one of them.
Yeah.
So Spy coming in clutch to helping this one out. It was a far cry from making it work even with the Vaccinator anyway. A whole minute left there. Just not enough of a B-hold to really keep this one alive for as long as they needed to. And here we go, like mid-5 not being enough in the end is just, I guess, testament to the quality at play here right now. These are solid times all around. I think if you're like in sort of mid-open, you'd love to have points this fast going your way on Steel, but it's not even enough in this case.
Yeah, I mean, at least sort of this is a momentum shift for Colt 256, but this is one hell of an uphill battle here, because to be honest, I began to think that things had completely slipped to the point where even though they had a very reasonable time to beat set up by Moro, that it still just would not go over the line. But they've proven me wrong, and hopefully this is a step in the right direction, and we are going to see a 2-horse race out of both of these teams, and going to be attacking first. It's going to be a Colt of 256 once again. Defending is going to be Moro. They know what to expect from Colt here, and see what they're going to try and surprise them with this time around. But I think they were really trying to attack from all angles there and pull Moro from pillar to post with their combo.
Alright, once again, it's still match point Moro. They can still wrap this all up right here if just this one round will work. Cult 256 finally retaliating, getting around of their own in this matchup. Is making this look all the more doable though. Maybe this restores the faith of the cult they so badly needed.
Yeah, absolutely. They're really getting ahead in the game. This is what Grand Finals are all about. It's a roller coaster of emotions. It's the rise and the fall, and we are going to see who rises and who falls as the gates open now. Of course, attacking first is going to be Colt once again. This is the final round of this map 2. Map advantage currently sits with Moro, and they are of course going to look to see what Colt are going to throw at them in this round. Again, no pressure at all on A. It's just going to be a bit of an ambassador off between Craze and Wiethoofd, but Wiethoofd ultimately backs up out, and sensibly so, looking to fortify themselves on this B point.
Alright, here we go, off to the races. 21 seconds after first. Pretty solid start, but this is what a fun really begins for them now. Onto B it goes. We'll see what they have in store. Once again, brute force attempt, it looks like, just trying to get the high ground early. Looks like both teams shifted gears a little bit from their initial strategies, but what is it gonna be that actually works in the end? Getting more kill is a good start. Everyone's dying for, that's not a big deal. That man on red is dead for so much longer. They can spawn up and take that space immediately afterwards.
Yeah, again, they're going for these sack attempts. They seem to sort of adopt that strategy from what Moro were attempting on their attack, and it seemed to work out pretty well for them. But again, they're taking a big old battering as they go up this hill, but knocking out Skyfox is going to be pretty fantastic for them. Try and get this gun eliminated, which they do with a very early Uber, and Moro yet to use it on return. Comes out pretty late here, and they just have to run for the hills. Colts just trying desperately to get any players out of this fight that possibly can, and Ava now fortifying this upper area on this B point.
As the kills coming through, more and more looking strong so far, but with no Uber as well. They don't have an Uber to fear, right? I mean, this goes both ways. They can just run in and hope for the best right now, abuse the better spawns to some extent, if they're allowed to take any space. And look at that, it forces back the gun. Moro does in fact fear a little bit. They don't want to mess around with this one. They don't want to fall trappings to losing the mat on second once again.
Yeah, the rapid spawners coming out on that attacking side just coming good there. That's one good thing about this B point, is that the proxy of the spawn to that point and the general timers makes it real easy to just run a sort of consecutive stacks, and you can afford to lose people and have them for the point of push of the next point. So Colt now just trying to feel their way into this bet corridor, but Kume is potentially isolated here as both teams pull up their Uber charge. We know how damning a Pyro can be if it catches in of this Uber, and it's going to be a really early use from Colt. This is potentially disastrous. They lose Salty as well. Oh, but look, it looks like Sneaky's been completely isolated from the Uber charge, but doesn't manage to get killed. Picks up Sintai and Jun on his own.
Okay, Kuma's kill late as well. Once everything's looking good here once again. Matt going down makes us all so much better of all things as well, right? Everything's coming together for more decently fast. Second point, obviously, makes you long for a good time elsewhere, and I mean, this is getting them right into the shape for that one.
Yeah, absolutely here, and you can see Moro very sort of aware of the multi sort of pronged attack that could potentially come from Colt here. They've got their players concentrated around Heaven. They've got players on C looking to just do whatever they can that Moro may have to face up against. Kumis charges in with his gloves into Haver, does not win that duel, unsurprisingly there, in the C-Cab going the way of Colt as it stands. A pretty slow rotation coming out of Sneaky, but it looks like they want to use the Uber charge here. They're going really deep. They want to get onto Sintar. Sintar is only 70%, and you see Pyroham coming in eventually. This is really sticky.
No, God, it's just getting the medic completely
no.
for free, just blindsided by Pyroham. Couldn't catch him in time. Awkward fight to take anyway, and it's just getting worse and worse from here. Sintai is spawning up now. It's not the biggest advantage, mind you, but maybe it's just enough to clean up the C point, and then at that point, the world's the oyster for them.
Yeah, unfortunately, in trying to evade the Pyro, Sintai jumped into every other single player from the enemy team on that C point. The cap's still not good for Colt. It looks like Haver and Sebastiani causing enough of a nuisance to slow them down here, and Craze getting a little bit overzealous with attempt at a jump stuff there, but eventually this should go their way. The Ubers have equalized now due to sort of a lack of healing on the blue side, and they are going to look to see what they can do to disassemble this Moro defense, see what point they want to go for next. Salty is on the cap, Haver being attacked in this Heaven area, and the heavy backstabbed as well. Gets them a good bit of space, but the players are taking from White Room.
Big
could make
damage
things
by
a little bit sticky.
He's getting 3 for the price of 1, it feels like, up there, and suddenly this is looking all the more doable. This was such a bad position to be in, but everyone stacked up on points, making it easy for them. June going down the drain as well. And suddenly there's a little bit of hope still left, as much as the numbers are just not getting much better on More, as we have a pause as well. That's a really late one to have in this match.
I think that nobody's going to fall in the pit for the rest of the
Who
game.
would do that, right?
Oh.
I mean, no one would just walk into
I mean,
the
they're
pit.
not noobs, they're Div 1 Grand Finalists.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, here's the rest of the round right now, continuing off where we just were, and where we just were is a lot of people in red just barely spawning, but there's a lot of half-time pressure. They have to get in, and Sneaky can't cause the miracle again.
Oh, wow. Oh
No,
no, the pit
Cynthia,
there!
no!
Cynthia gets reflected into the pit by Pyroham. Colt are unable to clinch onto the heaven area for any sustained amount of time. They got a decent bit of cap going though, but unable to get many frags onto the Moro players. Of course, we know you really just need to try and get in here and trade for frags. The spawns of the defending side is just so punishing.
Oh, the second pause as well. You got to be concerned about who was the pause for at this point. I'm going to double check as well to see, and it looks like it's, oh no, it's Kumis, the heavy of all people.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's sort of fresh. He's sort of his brain is sort of wired. He's enthusiastic, not like everyone else in this server. But as we say that, the game gets unpaused and a reflect kill onto Steaky from Goz. This could potentially close out this round, which would mean that that pauses in post game time. But oh, it's getting awfully sticky. These players desperately are trying to get onto this point, but.
He
There we
landed
go,
on
number
the pipe. He did the
7.
classic where you land on the pipe and then accidentally straight because you think you have to.
Yeah, you get confused.
Yeah, you just completely lost in the sauce, and there we go. Hate to break it to you, but we're at 7 pit deaths right now.
It's creeping up.
Is this the longest time right now? More had like a 540 just now, right? So this is, even if
Is
just
mine
barely,
bugged?
and it's still not a bad time.
Mine says 4:15.
Yes, it's bugged. You need to click a hard reload scheme button if you have one. If you don't have one,
Nope,
try to
I'm
get
a
yourself a
caveman.
hard reload scheme button. Otherwise, you have to type it in the console every single time.
I'll type it. I'll take
And
it.
that's no
fine.
good. I mean, it's easy to remember, I suppose. But yeah, it's barely a 6. That is somehow the worst time we've seen today. This through the pauses, this has been like a reasonably long steal, but mostly because of those. Without those, it's been going fairly quick actually.
I mean, it's almost the slowest time out of both maps as well.
Yeah.
Because of course being Vigil, which was won over 2 by Moro. So again, the winner of this takes this round. If it is to be Colt, it's going to go to Upward map 3, which is another sort of best of 3 rounds. And the winner of that will be the overall, but ball very much in Moro's court to try and close this out if they possibly can. They are of course pushing. They need to do it in less than 5 minutes 52. And we're seeing another pause.
Not again.
This is fantastic.
Okay, we have a different victim to blame this time around. It's Skyfox timing out.
If there was a time for Skyfox to pull that out, I don't think it would be here.
Okay, well, at least they didn't need him work. They did, in fact, just figure it out, and he is back on the server. At some point, though, in the middle of all this, Skyfox has just gone for a second, and we gotta wonder if it will matter.
Yeah, absolutely. But we see now the cap goes over the line for Colt. They are not really looking, looking for Moro. They're not looking at all to try and apply pressure to the C point as they haven't any time before. Sneaky's pretty weak, so they just need to try and heal him up, and then they can run another one of these sacks. It's going to be the Bonk Scout trying to get up and through, and it's not going to be enough. They lose 4 of their players, but thankfully managed to hold on to that Uber charge here. It is still equal, and a lot of time to play with, but Moro need to do something. A minute has ticked down already.
Yeah, minute passed really quickly here sometimes, and this might be a painful one to lose already here, as not much has been accomplished just yet. A salty kill sounds cool, man's good at the game I suppose, but that alone won't do a whole lot just yet. Really need to break through this hold just right here, right now. Kumis still, or the heavy I suppose, still on the high ground here, trying to do that down this, but we'll see what it can do right now. The plays are coming in, and it's getting enough pressure going to get the force out, so that's a start.
It certainly is, and that's going to be what Moro need. Of course, they do have those fast spawns. They're right next to the spawn door as well. They just need to try and throw some bodies at this upper area. Try and get rid of Kumis, try and get rid of Lord Jr. and get this teleporter destroyed. But time is very much of the essence. They managed to pick Kumis off straight away. Teleporter getting picked off as well. The Bong Scout just being a little bit of a nuisance, but a real good positional advantage for them now. The UBU's pretty quick out of the gate here. They know it's an advantage, but it looks like they're not going to be able to touch Cynthia.
Okay, the short little hiccup there, you realize was where the pauses were happening in game, in fact. Skyfox gone for a short moment, but man is back. Heavy back on the field for the red team as well, so everyone has the full lineup again. 4 minutes for the rest of the map, doesn't sound so shabby, but what's the play right now? They don't have an ad. Cynthia, in fact, with the nice little comfy Uber advantage here. That's currently sitting on C, so they'll have to leave the little safety net or area they have in the back here to actually contest this E point that Moro currently forces them to try and play at.
Yeah, this is a little bit sticky here for Colt. You know, Moro.
Well, actually, it's actually really easy suddenly.
Because Sebastian dies. Yeah, I mean, you can't plan for that, and then the counter Uber comes out of Colt. They're using their free Uber charge as best they can. Looks like they want to try and get the gun, try and get the teleporter, and a nice headshot onto Skyfox as well. Nullifies him for even longer here as well, but Sintire dies right at the end. 20-second spawn. That really stinks. That one death allows the enemy medic to generate 50% of the Uber charge. That's mean.
It makes things look all the more doable. 3 minutes left. Sebastiani catching up quick with getting a full charge like he said, and now it's just a matter of taking space properly. June is stopping them pretty nicely, but can't quite clean up a kill. Goes from behind as well, not enough to get a kill either. So Connector is falling to the side of the blue team for now. That's a good start here. Not much left on Combo Sintire. Incredibly weak, but she might just be getting back into spawn. However, there's still one left, and a bam out of nowhere just was hiding the entire time. And looks like the Merc's paying off already.
Yeah, 5 players down for Colt now, and it's going to be pretty sticky for them to get themselves all set up on this E point. The cap going over the line, a lot of players with the potential to be concentrated on this E, and like we said, something that's been missed many a time before, they have got a huge presence now in this heaven area. The bridge has extended across, and they're going to just start trying to take this time down, trying to erode this point, and they've got 2 minutes to do so as well, and this position is looking absolutely unbelievable for them. We could potentially be seeing the end of the game here. Oh wow, that's really punishing, but 4 players down from Colt, including all of the explosive classes. They lose Kumis as well. 21 seconds spawn
How did
waves.
nobody take damage after Sap died? They got the bed kill and they couldn't do anything with that. Just getting jumped, and suddenly it's like they never lost heals at all. They just killed them all and get themselves on point now with heals again. All the setup in the world. A minute and a half from here, this is plenty of time.
Yeah, it looks to be going over the line, and the victors of the Season 27 Div 1 Highlander is going to be Moro. Coming back against the odds, looking at last week's upper bracket, they lost over 2 rounds, and now they lock it out in 2 rounds. A real shift in momentum there, and very well deserved. Those were 2 pretty stellar maps at TF2.
And Alabama really shows up, kills the medic, team loses the game and leaves.
Yeah.
This is
Formidable
an
logs.
unfortunate one on his perspective, but hey, he did his best, I suppose. And in the end, what can you do, right? Close one here, but if this many vet kills still don't do anything, it's just coming down to huge play by the other team. They just burst open into the E point the second they could after C-cap, and it's like there was no chance at all. They just rolled right over them, and really well done aggression gets them all the space in the world, gets them this round, gets them the win. Moro looking strong and get themselves the W.
They're throwing around Sunday, they're throwing around Thursday. I don't even know. I don't even know what day it is today, so I think it's probably best left alone. But keep your eyes and ears peeled for the next bit of action. Do we have any closing remarks, DuMmTm?
Aggro add troll to the Twitch channel. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone for joining us this evening, and of course a big up props to Core, one of the many unsung heroes of production. He is a real G. And of course, thank you to my co-caster, DuMmTm. Have a good evening, everyone.